Ladies and gentlemen, we are excited to announce on this special edition of the Eldonzo and D Show, President Joe Biden will be joining us for an exclusive interview.
Hello, Eldonzo and D Show. Yeah, yes, Mr. President. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Well, we've just been informed that the president is not going to be able to make it on the show today due to what he says is a very important meeting with Nelson Mandela, Margaret Thatcher, and Mao Zedong.
Coming at you directly from the Skyhammer Studios. This is the Eldonzo and D Show.
You have insanity in my earpiece.
You know, the definition of insanity in my earpiece is going to take off like a rocket. I'm Eldonzo.
I'm Deez.
And the cold opener, I don't even know where to begin with this. And seriously, in the past week, of course, Joe Biden has been on the decline. I don't think anybody can argue with us on that.
Free falling.
That's exactly what he's doing. This is bad. This is bad. And a lot of stuff's happened this week. Look, when people get to a certain point in Alzheimer's or cognitive decline, they start having dementia and they start seeing dead people. I've known personally people that have gotten that far gone. They start seeing dead people, dead relatives and stuff. Maybe he's getting to that point. Maybe he's just forgetful. But either way, he shouldn't be running the country. On top of that, we also had news with him came out that Special Counsel Robert Hur, on the surface, it looks like, there's no reason for an indictment, but there's so much more to this. Pretty much said that Joe Biden doesn't know where the hell he's at. But we're going to be talking about that as well. And then also Tucker Carlson's interview with Putin. Did you get a chance to watch any of that?
No, I've heard highlights and heard a lot of people talking about it, but no, I honestly have not.
Yeah, it's I sat down and watched the whole thing. It was 2 hours, and it was very interesting. We're going to be talking about that as well today, and just all kinds of other fooly monkey shines we've got going on. But I do want to get this out of the way right now. We've lost 2 people this week so far. The first one being Toby Keith.
Yeah, that kind of came as a shock. I knew he was dealing with the cancer thing, but I thought the last update I had heard was that he was doing well, but apparently that was not the case.
I guess he played his last show, I think, in September of last year. Is that correct? And he was only 62. So he was 62. Battled with stomach cancer.
Yeah, I did see a picture of him. He was down to like 150 pounds. Like, just barely recognizable. Like, there's just, he was a big husky, like, looked like a big farm boy. And to see that picture, I think it was on TMZ. He was going through it.
Yeah, you could tell it was weighing him down pretty bad.
Yeah,
obviously affecting him. And he did one thing about Toby Keith, he wrote great songs, great party songs, country party songs. But he also did a lot to bring attention to veterans, wounded veterans.
Yeah.
Did a lot of USO tours. It's kind of like equivalent of John Wayne. I called him a modern-day John Wayne. John Wayne never served in the military, but he did more for recognizing the United States military and veterans. He sold a lot of war bonds. He probably did more for the United States military than he ever could have had he just went and served. And Toby Keith was the same way. Toby Keith never served, but he was a diehard patriot, and he did everything he could, like I said, on the USO tours and raising awareness of wounded veterans, soldiers of foreign wars. So, hats off to him.
Yep.
Very much honored that he was a part of our country and part of our patriotism. On another loss we had this week, famed actor Carl Weathers, who was, if you grew up in the 80s like we did, was quite the screen icon. Especially, I remembered him from Predator. That was one of my favorite movies he was ever in. He was, of course, he played Apollo Creed
in
the Rocky films.
Yep. This is all Rush's fault, Ivan Drago.
Yeah, blame it on Russia.
Yep.
Blame it on Russia. Carl Weathers, he was 76 when he died. I can't remember what the cause of
Yeah,
death
and
was.
he was in pretty good shape.
He seemed like it.
Yeah, he was most recently had a recurring role on the Star Wars spinoff show, The Mandalorian.
Ah, that's right, he did.
Yeah.
And a lot of people remember him as Chubbs from Happy Gilmore.
Yep.
Which he lost his arm and everything. So, moving on, let's get into this Putin and Tucker Carlson interview. There was a lot of hubbub earlier in the week that Tucker Carlson was seen in Moscow to potentially interview Vladimir Putin, and it did happen. And like I said, I sat down and watched 2 hours of this, and what I immediately gleaned off of this, Vladimir Putin is not stupid.
No.
Vladimir Putin is not crazy. He's got his reasons for doing this. So, and I put this on Facebook. The first 40 minutes of the interview was a complete history of Russia and Ukraine and the Baltic states and how they've warred and exactly down to the date and the year that all this happened. And you could tell that Tucker Carlson, I think he even said it himself, he thought that Vladimir Putin was filibustering this whole interview. It turns out he wasn't. He was laying the groundwork. This guy went through like 1,000 years of Russian history like he had lived it, okay? Just rattled it off. Very coherent, just on top of things. So the first thing that stuck out to me was that. There's no way he could go toe-to-toe with our president today. It was embarrassing because it really put it, in perspective of who we have running our country and who Russia has running their country.
I think what you meant to say was there's no way our president could go toe-to-toe with Putin.
Oh, yeah. Maybe I
and
biff that up a little bit.
I don't know that there are many world leaders out there that could. I mean, love him or hate him for what he's done, man is very intelligent, very sharp.
He is. And, of course, Tucker Carlson got a lot of pushback on this. One of the main ones was Boris Johnson. If you remember, and Putin even talked about Boris Johnson, they had a peace agreement going right at the beginning of this thing, and Boris Johnson went over there and shot it down. Okay, Boris Johnson made sure almost single-handedly, along with the Biden administration, the Western countries, that there would not be peace in Ukraine. There's going to have to be something.
Yeah.
And we've said this before. Something's going to have to happen. They're going to have to sign a peace deal at one point or another.
I've been doing like some online gaming lately with a few Brits, and shout out Spartans, and they're not happy with Mr. Johnson. Let's just put it that way. They were talking about the interview as well, and he's a joke. Biden's a joke. They basically agree with your general consensus.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch this, there's hands down, there was no way around. You can't say that this guy's got his sticks wired tight. So Johnson came out and said this: when Tucker Carlson went to the Kremlin, he had a function well known to history. He was to be the stooge of the tyrant, the dictaphone to the dictator, and a traitor to journalism. In his fawning, guffawing, slack-jawed happiness at having a scoop, he betrayed his viewers and listeners around the world. He also said he didn't ask tough questions. Now, he did ask tough questions. There was some contention between him and Putin. Now, my personal opinion on this is, I don't care who it is or what slights or crimes against humanity or how evil they are. Journalists have a goal to go out there and interview everybody. We have to hear everything. There's people that went and interviewed Charles Manson, interviewed Jeffrey Dahmer, and they were celebrated. Okay? Why can't we go out and interview Vladimir Putin? I think a lot of people have tried to do this, and I think that's why his CBS and NBC was so pissed off, because they couldn't get granted that access to him. I really do. Now,
I wouldn't be surprised.
You see all these people interviewing Vladimir Zelensky, talking about being a fanboy. So, anyway, that was really interesting to watch it. Like I said,
to be fair, Zelensky can play the piano with his penis. I haven't seen Putin do that, so.
No, well, that's true, but you know what? Putin could probably play piano with Zelensky's penis, to be honest with you, if I had to take a guess at that. Now, one thing that really stood out here, I want to get this in. We'll talk about a little bit more of this on the next segment, too, and how I think critical it is that we have to get everybody's perspective and get an understanding. But one thing that stood out to me was Tucker Carlson asked Putin a lot of questions about how he felt about George W. Bush and how he got along with Clinton and Trump, which he got along with all of them pretty well. One thing I didn't know that Putin said was that he actually asked about joining NATO back in the 90s when Bill Clinton was president. And Bill Clinton said he'd actually consider it and then turned around and said, no, we're not going to do it, never mind. And I guess this was kind of a letdown to Putin because in his eyes, he wanted to actually work with America. He kind of made it sound like he wants to build their alliance together and everybody be profitable and be prosperous. Now, one thing that did stand out, we're talking about the Joe Biden situation this week, which he can't remember anything. Vladimir Putin was asked if he had talked to Joe Biden before this happened, and Vladimir Putin said yes, and Tucker Carlson asked him when he talked to him, and Vladimir Putin said, I can't remember. And Tucker Carlson goes, what do you mean you can't? Why can't you remember? He goes, I don't know. I just don't remember. Maybe you should ask him. And at the time I'm watching this, I'm going, how the hell did he just slip up there? How can he not remember when the last time he talked to the President of the United States was? But actually going back and listening to it, that was a dig at Joe Biden.
Yeah.
That was a full frontal assault on Joe Biden's cognitive ability and his ability to remember things. It's just not there, and it's damn embarrassing. But overall, like I said, 2 hours. Vladimir Putin got a couple digs in on Tucker. I think at one point he said, do you want to have a talk show or a serious conversation? So, like I said, it was a good interview. If you get a chance, go and watch it, and it was free. You don't have to hit a paywall to watch it. You don't have to subscribe to anything. Go to Tucker Carlson on X and just watch it. It's worth it. This is the Aldonzo and D Show. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back here from the Skyhammer Studio. And in the last segment, we were going into the Tucker Carlson-Vladimir Putin interview that took place this week. Of course, Tucker Carlson traveled to Moscow. Now, this was supposed to happen, I think, last year or the year before, and the Biden administration spied on Tucker Carlson's text messages, and imagine that, prevented him from going. They did the same thing a month ago, and this time Tucker Carlson said, screw it, they're going to go do it. I think Tucker Carlson thought this had to be done, and I agree, it had to be done. Now, a lot of things that Putin said, Putin pointed towards the expansion of NATO, and promises made and not kept since the 90s, since the dissolution of the Soviet Union. And he cited that as a main reason for going and taking Ukraine. Also talks going back, years ago to 2014, 2015, Obama was doing this about making Ukraine part of NATO. This is all fact. This has happened. That eastward expansion of NATO took place. Now, I don't know if there was ever a signed document when this happened back in the early 90s. We're talking going back to 94, if this was actually not going to take place or not. But Russia has definitely felt slighted, and he made numerous statements that he seemed like he could back them up, to where he talked with America about this, whether it be Bill Clinton or George W. Bush or Barack Obama, trying to fix this. Now, can you believe him? I don't know, but it's nice to hear his side of it.
Right.
I mean, why would you not want to hear it?
Yeah.
There was a couple times in there where he also talked about, let's see here, the Crimean Peninsula and why he took that back, why he felt that was a part of Russia, why it was critical to Russia, and why he will not give that up. He also said he was open to negotiating with the U.S. and with Ukraine. So what I heard, and like I said, take it for face value, folks, if you watch this, what I heard was he's not opposed to having a peace deal. He's just not going to get bent over a barrel for it and give up the Eastern Territories and give up Crimea. So at this point, when you've got the Russian president coming out and says he's willing to stop this if they can come to a negotiation, but then you've got Ukraine and the West saying, no, we're not going to talk about this unless everything goes right back, including Crimea, you're never going to get anywhere with it. That's my whole point to it. Now, Ukrainian sergeant calls Tucker Carlson an enemy of humanity for visiting Russia and interviewing Vladimir Putin. Remember, Ukraine is the one that wants, in my opinion, a third world war. That's the only way they can maybe get out of this unscathed.
Yeah. That's the only thing I can see that could save them.
Anybody that's got their panties in a bunch because Tucker Carlson went and interviewed Vladimir Putin is living on another planet. You might as well be having dinner with Joe Biden and talking about dead people. Oh, which brings us into the big story. And I thought this thing with Tucker getting over there and getting that interview was a big story. That's a big deal in my opinion. Like I said, if you want to check it out, go check it out. It's free. It's not behind a paywall. You don't have to subscribe to anything. Go to Tucker Carlson on X, and the video is there for free for the whole world to watch if you want to watch it. My issue with that is there's a lot of people that will say they don't want to watch it. They're not going to contribute to this. I don't care if you absolutely hate Vladimir Putin and think he's the second coming of Hitler, which he's not. Go watch it. Go get some objective point of view, some objective information for this. He also made a really good point, too. When you remember when the Canadian Parliament had Vladimir Zelensky come visit, and they had that Nazi stand up, the Ukrainian Nazi veteran, and they all clapped and everything because he fought the Russians. Well, it was kind of a dumb moment, and Vladimir Putin made this a really good point. That was the Nazification he's talking about wanting to run out of there. There was a lot of Nazis in Ukraine. And if they were fighting the Russians in World War II, who were they fighting for? They were fighting for the Nazis.
Yeah.
So how in the hell could these two idiots, Trudeau and this other guy from Parliament and Zelensky, get up and not realize what they were doing when they were honoring this guy who was fighting for Nazi Germany? Made a lot of good points. That's all I'm saying. Now, there's been a special investigation just wrapped up into Joe Biden's mishandling of classified documents. And we've been covering this, well, for probably close to 8 months now. We've been talking about this since it happened. They finally had the special counsel go in there and investigate it. And there's not going to be any charges brought against Joe Biden. You can't compare this. First of all, you cannot compare this to Donald Trump. Donald Trump was a president, a U.S. president, not a vice president. He was a president when he supposedly got caught with his hand in the cookie jar with classified documents. Joe Biden was not a president, which to me is a stark difference there in the legality of what they did. Now, special counsel Robert Hur has come out and said a couple things, that there's not going to be charges, but there's not going to be charges for a reason, because no jury is going to find, this is pretty much what it said, you read it too, no jury's reasonably going to find him culpable in his mental state right now. So,
in other news, sky is blue and water is wet.
So, White House counsel spokesperson Ian Sams came out and twisted that and said that Joe Biden didn't do anything wrong. They found that he didn't do anything wrong, and they said egregious things in here that they shouldn't have said, that it didn't have any value added to it. Well, no. You know what they said, Dees? They said that he was so forgetful and so elderly, he couldn't even remember the year his son Beau died.
Yeah.
Couldn't remember it. He couldn't remember the years that he was vice president. They asked him about it. He says, was I vice president in 2009, or what? Was I not vice president in 2013? Let me tell you something. I know a lot of people that are his age, and they get forgetful, okay? My dad's going to be 82 this year. He gets forgetful. I don't think anybody...
49 almost, and I'm forgetful.
Okay, but when you forget the years that you're vice president, that's pretty bad. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would think that'd be a significant time in your life that you should remember. If you're, the, quote, most powerful leader in the free world.
Now, while he's not getting charges against him, Robert Hur did say that they uncovered evidence that Biden willfully retained and disclosed classified materials after his vice presidency when he was a private citizen. The materials included marked classified documents about military and foreign policy in Afghanistan and notebooks containing Mr. Biden's handwritten entries about issues of national security and foreign policy implicating sensitive intelligence sources and methods. So, do you think this was an investigation to actually bring charges against him? Or after we're, reading this, was this an investigation to get something else rolling? What do you think, Dees?
Again, I'm going to beat this dead horse that I've been beating for months. It's beginning. This is the first bullet that they're putting in the chamber to stop him from running. I don't know that they will 25th him, just for the simple fact that I don't think that the powers that be behind closed doors want to give Kamala any power at all, even if it is short term. But I think they're going to get the ball rolling and start to use this to, air quotes, convince him not to run in this upcoming election.
So I talked about, and I agree with you, it sounds like it's going to be the first big shot out of the cannon at him.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got some excerpts here.
We can 25th you and you'll be a disgrace, or you can, bow out gracefully and we'll brush all this under the rug along with all Hunter's BS and this and that. I really think that's what's happening.
So, and before I cut to these excerpts, I talked about he couldn't remember when Bo died. He couldn't remember when he was vice president. I've got the excerpts here. We're going to read it so you know that Eldonzo and D's just aren't bull sticks in everybody here. My thing is, this is probably one of the toughest situations the Democrat Party has ever been in my opinion. They're coming down to 0 hour to get him out of there and get somebody else in. Yes, the DNC can swap him out if they want to at the convention, but even that's going to create a lot of hurdles and it's going to weaken the Democratic Party. Now, Michelle Obama, we've talked about her potentially getting in there. Michelle Obama doesn't want anything to do with politics. She likes living her lavish lifestyle. She was never into politics. She just liked the glam and glitz. So I don't know if that's going to take off or not.
Yeah, when's she going to have time to shave her balls?
Exactly. That was pretty good. Oh, going after Michael like that, you got to stop that. So, my fear is they're going to run Biden. My fear is that they're actually going to run this guy. And my biggest fear is he's going to win. Because this thing with Trump, Buck Sexton was talking about this. He had a caller in a couple days ago who said this gal voted for Trump twice, was a major Trump supporter. She's backing him now, but if he gets convicted of a felony, she will not vote for him because she will not vote for a convicted felon. I'm telling you, there's a lot of independents and moderate Republicans that think that backwards way. Now, I don't care if he gets hit with a felony or not. I know the felony's all bull sticks, like this January 6th thing that Jack Smith's going after him for. This is nothing but a witch hunt. At the times they're doing this, they're pushing it out to certain dates. They want to get him a felony, and I see no reason why they can't do it. Look at everything else they've done.
Yeah, like I said, I'll be shocked if he doesn't catch at least a conviction or two.
My fear is seeing how far these people have gone. They will stop at nothing to make sure he never goes back into that White House.
I think they've already made that clear.
They've made it quite clear to me. So let's get back to, because we've beat that dead horse ad nauseum. But like I said, I got this fear, and this just developed in the past couple of weeks looking at this stuff, that they're actually going to continue to run Biden. Whether he's in a wheelchair and they bring him out with a blanket over his legs and there's got a straw and feeding him applesauce. But anyway, we're going to get into these excerpts from the special counsel's report when we come back here on the El Donzo and D Show, coming at you right from the Skyhammer Studios. And we were talking in the last segment about this special counsel Robert Hur's report against Biden. I kind of listed off some Cliff's notes there, but I actually want to get into the actual text from here. So he released this report. They're not going to charge Biden with any crimes in regards to mishandling documents, which they found in his garage. They found in his basement. Remember, they found the documents right next to his Corvette, which Hunter Biden was taking underage girls around and
stacked nicely on his box of Depends.
That's right. Depends on the day, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The report, however, also contained a pretty eye-opening portion on how Biden struggled to remember when he served as vice president in the Obama administration. Her's office believed Biden's lawyers would use those limitations in his recall if it went to trial, i.e., they would say, well, look at this guy. He's not there. He's not cognizant. He can't remember. He's got a bad memory. And then that's why likely nothing would stick, especially depending on where the show trial's at. So, directly from the report, in his interview with our office, Mr. Biden's memory was worse. He did not remember when he was a vice president, forgetting on the first day of the interview when his term ended. Quote from Biden, "If it was 2013, when did I stop being vice president?" And forgetting on the second day of the interview when his term began. In 2009, am I still vice president? Seriously. It goes on. He did
This
not.
guy has the nuclear code.
He has the nuclear football. And he doesn't. This is a quote from Joe Biden in this report. He's questioning that if he is still vice president in 2009. Dude, the fun just started at that point. Now it goes on. He did not remember, even within several years, when his son Beau died, which was in 2015. Goes on, in his memory appeared hazy when describing the Afghanistan debate that was once so important to him. Among other things, he mistakenly said he had a real difference of opinion with General Carl Eikenberry, when in fact Eikenberry was one of his strongest allies. Goes on, in a case where the government must prove that Mr. Biden knew he had possession of the classified Afghanistan documents after the vice presidency and chose to keep those documents, knowing he was violating the law, we expect that at trial his attorneys would emphasize these limitations in his recall. So it's pretty much he's getting out of the electric chair because he's criminally insane. That's the equivalent of what's going on here.
Yeah.
They're letting him off the hook because he's that stupid. I'm not saying he's stupid. He did say he graduated first in his class. He was actually last. If you remember back when him and Trump had the debates, he brought that up and kind of made him stammer a little bit. He is a liar. Stupid, maybe. Liar, definitely. Okay, so we've got a lot of stuff that also happened. So after, let me find the right one here. After he did this, after this report came out, he did this press conference talking about his memory's fine and mentally he's fine. And he goes on to, he says he got the president of Mexico to open the gate for refugees from Gaza. So what he did here, we're going to play you a soundbite. As soon as he got done saying how good his memory was, okay, same stage, same podium, he goes into this, which just proves it even further. He's gone. Let's roll clip.
As you know, that the conduct of the response in Gaza, in the Gaza Strip, has been over the top. I think that, as you know, initially, the president of Mexico, Sisi, did not want to open up the gate to allow humanitarian material to get in. I talked to him. I convinced him to open the gate.
President Sisi is the president of Egypt, not Mexico, and not even on the same continent. Not even on the same continent, Joe. Right after you go, my memory's fine.
I mean, they're both kind of brown people,
yeah,
right?
they're both, darker skin. Give them that, you know.
It's hot, you know.
It's hot, yeah.
Don't get a lot of rain.
God, good. But, actually, that wasn't the worst one. That actually was not the worst one.
But wait, there's more.
Now, if you just listen to that, you can tell by the way the guy's talking that he's not all there. You can tell he doesn't even know where he's at. We're not even going to have to replay that one for you. Here's another one from the New York Post. Alarming footage appears to show President Biden forgetting Hamas's name when asked about hostages held in Gaza. This was this week as well. This is February 7th. Actually, I think it happened on the 6th. You want to hear this one? Have you heard this one yet, Deez?
No.
All right, this is... I don't even know what to make about this. Here we go. We're going to roll clip. This is Biden trying to talk about Hamas's reaction. I don't know. Roll clip. This is bad. This is really bad.
The question of American power. It all goes to, was America keep its word? Does America move forward? There is some movement, and I don't want to
Come on.
maybe choose my words. There's some movement. There's been a response from there's been a response from the opposition, but yes, I'm sorry, from Hamas.
Somebody jumped in there and helped him out.
Yeah.
That guy is speaking to the world on that podium.
There's a movement going on right then, and that's a movement in his pants.
That's right. That's what we talk about the old depends there with Joe Biden.
It was that old SNL skit, the "Oops, I crapped my pants," or no, I think it was Bob and Tom.
Oh, it may have been, yeah.
Oops, I crapped my pants.
Okay, so why stop there is my point.
Biden made a boom boom in the bum bum.
hear about this thing? This was about a week and a half ago. He met with a crowd, and he was talking about the French president.
Yeah.
You hear about this? Who's the French president?
I have no idea.
Emmanuel Macron.
Okay.
Okay.
Whatever you say.
But he mixed it up. He mixed it up pretty bad, and we're going to play that soundbite for you now. Here's roll clip.
Right after I was elected, I went to what they call a G7 meeting, all the NATO leaders. And it was in the south of England. And I sat down and I said, America's back. And Mitterrand from France looked at me and said, you know, how long are you back for?
Which is really impressive because Mitterrand died in 1996. Mitterrand died in 1990. He was France's president from 81 to 95. He died in 1996. So Mitterrand's up there. So this guy has a power to summon dead people.
I mean, at least he remembered his name correctly, even if it was, not the current president, and he's been dead for 20 plus years.
So of course, one of the reporters in the White House pool asked America's first black lesbian French press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, about this. And you want to hear her remark to it? Like, this is, I don't even know how you can.
Whether I want to or not.
I'm going to play it for you. She's got no dukes. You ever heard that term? I got no dukes. She's got no dukes. This is Karine Jean-Pierre replying to the question about Biden's mental health after he claimed to meet with this long dead French leader. Here we go. Roll clip.
How is President Biden ever going to convince the 3/4 of voters who are worried about his physical and mental health that he is okay, even though in Las Vegas he told a story about recently talking to a French president who died in 1996?
I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole with you,
Why?
sir.
What is
We're
the
going
rabbit hole?
Go ahead.
He said
go
he
ahead.
talked to Mitterrand.
Go ahead. You saw the president in Vegas, in California. You've seen the president in South Carolina. You saw him in Michigan. I'll just leave it there. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You know why she couldn't say anything? Because she's got nothing to say, Dees.
No,
there's
what
nothing
do
you can say to this. This is one thing after another with this guy. The guy is not there, and people will still go out and vote for him. They will still go out and vote for this guy.
Orange man bad.
That's
That's literally the leg that they stand on.
I would take a dog, a brain-damaged canine at this point, over what we're getting with Joe Biden. Now, we're coming up on a break here in a little bit, but this isn't it, though. This is the only dead person he's talked to. He also, check this out, claims he spoke with a German chancellor who died in 2017 at the first G7 meeting. If it's not one thing, it's another. We're going to have that clip for you. But yeah, this is just one of those things. Who else is he going to see next? Is he going to see Nelson Mandela? Is he going to talk about having dinner with Elvis yesterday? I mean, how far is this going to go?
Clearly, yeah. He's got a full dance card.
His dance card, I like that saying. The dance card is full. Yeah. We've got that clip for you, and then we've got some more Fully Monkey Shines. We're going to get into a whole lot of news for this week. When we come back here on this beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning, this is the El Donzo and D Show, coming at you from the Skyhammer Studios. This is the El Donzo and D Show, where we don't see dead people, we see stupid people. I'm El Donzo.
I'm Deez.
And speaking about seeing dead people, we were talking about Biden in the last segment, and we have the story about he saw somebody else that was dead, but I want to remind everybody of this morsel, that I think this happened last year. This is another dead person he saw. This Jackie gal that was a congresswoman. Let's just remind everybody about this.
And I want to thank all of you here for including bipartisan elected officials like Representative Governor, Senator Braun, Senator Booker, Representative Jackie. Are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here to help make this a reality. And thanks to Senator Stabenow, Representative.
No, she's not going to be there, you ignorant a-hole. She's dead. Jackie, where's Jackie? Where's Jackie at? Where's Jackie? It's like he said, come on, John, stand up. Let everybody see you, the guy that was crippled. I mean, you can't make this up. It so reminds me of like I said, the scary movies when Leslie Nielsen was in them playing the president.
Yeah.
We've used those clips ad nauseum as well to describe the situation going on in our country, which if we couldn't laugh, I think we'd just cry about it. All right, so President Biden just this past week, claimed, here's the other one, claimed he spoke with the late German Chancellor Helmut Kohl, who died in 2017, in 2021, while he was talking about fundraising events on Wednesday. He was talking about the insurrection on January 6th. The president said that the late German Chancellor asked him what he would say if he learned 1,000 people stormed the British Parliament in an attempt to deny the next prime minister from taking office. Unfortunately, I don't have this little morsel pulled up in a soundbite. But at this point, do you really think we need sound bites? I think everybody just believes it, don't you?
Well, yeah, I think there's more than enough evidence to back up that it happened.
So not only is this guy seeing dead people, and not only seeing them, talking to them, he's interacting with them. Maybe he's on another plane. Maybe he's that close to death that he's starting to see all these people that he knew from, 15, 20, 30 years ago. That could be, couldn't it?
Yeah. He might be closer to death than he thinks, because given some of the powers that be behind closed doors that everybody kind of assumes, i.e. Obama, Clinton's, blah, 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 he might die peacefully in his sleep here in the next few months.
With a pillow over his head.
Right.
Now, getting away from hallucinating, well, actually he is hallucinating. Biden is pretty pissed at Speaker Johnson because of this border bill that they're stalling. Yeah, he actually said, we need help on the border. This is Joe Biden said, we need help on the border. Why won't they give me the help? Well, first of all, you jackass, why don't you enforce the immigration laws that are already on the books? Second of all, you have all of the authority to go down there and shut that border down. You know what they want to do in this bill, Dees? They want to cap illegal migrants coming across the border at 5,000 a day. That's part of their negotiation. Mitch McConnell is involved in this too and helped write it. 5,000 a day. We're going to cap it at 5,000. 5,000 a day. That's not a cap.
That's a lot of people.
You know what it should be? It should be 0 is what we should go for. Illegal immigrants coming across the border. Not 5,000 a day. Speaking of illegal immigrants, this is going to be a big topic here. Did you see this? This woman getting dragged in the New York City street by the migrant moped gang?
No.
They're literally taking over the streets. This guy's going, I need help. I can't shut down the border. These people are running rampant. And they finally caught those guys that assaulted those cops in New York City. I don't know if you read about that.
Yeah, the ones that they let go without bail and they went to California. They brought them back? Or?
They got them in Phoenix. New York City just lets these guys go. Where do they think they're going to go? They're not a flight risk. They flew away from their own country. What the hell's going on with this? Now, this is the one I wanted to get to. Let me see. Let's see if we got enough time. We got plenty of time on here. Ron DeSantis. Okay.
Who?
The sanctimonious. Ron DeSantis said something earlier about the illegal immigrants coming into this country. Oh, hold on one second. I got all mixed up here. Has that ever happened to you?
Daily.
Happens to me. You know what? I don't care how bad I get mixed up or how bad something drops on this show. All I have to do is go back and listen to a soundbite of Joe Biden.
Feel better about yourself?
Instantly.
Little ego boost?
Instantly. Before we got to the thing with DeSantis and Bill Maloogian, which Bill Maloogian was calling bull sticks on a fact check against something DeSantis said about the border, which who would know better than Bill Maloogian? That story dropped. We're going to get that pulled up, but I want to keep going on this. Al Sharpton calls border crisis an invasion and wants GOP senators pressured for allowing this to continue. So this is the same thing that happens when there's a government shutdown. It's always a Republican's fault. Anytime the government shuts down, it's the Republicans' fault because they didn't want to vote on this bull sticks bill, which has got all this pork in it, all this other stuff that's not even related to what they're talking about. That's the reason the government shut down. It's all the Republicans' fault. Why is it not the Democrats' fault when the government shuts down for trying to push all this insanity through?
Yeah.
The Republicans say we don't want it. Okay, well, the government shut down. It's all the Republicans' fault. How can they never take fault for this? This is the same thing. Al Sharpton is blaming GOP senators for allowing this border invasion. Can you believe this? This is from Fox News. While bashing some Republicans for not getting on board with the Senate immigration bill unveiled over the weekend, and MSNBC DNC host Al Sharpton used the word invasion Monday to describe the border crisis, which some liberals found to be highly controversial. President Biden and politicians from both the Democratic and Republican parties have touted the deal as a bipartisan compromise to secure the border. However, many Republicans argue that not only is this deal insufficient, but Biden already has the necessary ability to take action to secure the border. Just like the Title 42 type authority that would only be mandated if numbers at the southern border exceeded 5,000 migrant encounters a day. Why don't you just do it off the bat? Now, Al Sharpton's blaming the grand old party wants to shut down the border more than anybody else. And Biden has all the authority to do that. Just like Trump had all the historic record low border crossings while Trump was president. True or not true?
Well, absolutely true.
Didn't need a damn act of Congress for that now, did he?
Nope.
This is the Aldonzo and D Show. Going to take a quick break. Be back for hour 2 right here from the Skyhammer Studios.